Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the late start. It's a train today. I feel like I'm making excuses, but there was actually a train today that was in the way. So it took about 15 minutes for the train to pass. So it took a long time to get back to the office this morning, which is kind of weird. Usually we don't see that kind of traffic. I don't see that kind of traffic where I'm at in the morning. So anyway, I apologize, but we're here now. So let's get to it. I'm going to drop this link in a couple places and then we can begin. So then we'll get to it. And I'm sure people are coming in. Hey, good morning. What's going on, Jen? So yeah, let's go to Verizon's, take a look at what's going on there. I just want to touch base on something so that we're all on the same page. You really need to focus on what's going on as far as spaces, right? So what do I mean by that? You have to focus on what's going on here with these kinds of names. This is probably not going to stop, right? We probably are not going to see this stop with these kinds of pricing. You're already seeing some pressure this morning with corn, with wheat, and I think that is not going to stop. If you look at futures this morning in that field, these names are all setting up to go higher. So just keep that in mind. That's the kind of the theme I'm looking at today. I don't see any reason why this is not going to push higher, and that's really where my focal point would be, to focus on the fertilizer names and commodities this morning. I think that should be where, I think that's where you should kind of be focused. I think that theme's not going to change anytime soon. It's just my thing. They're to buy fertilizer right now is at an all-time high, and I don't see any reason why that is going to change. I just don't see it. I could be wrong, but I think it's important to get that out there. So if I was to look at a section, that's where I would be focused on right now. To get into your question about Verizon, let's get rid of this other data for a moment, and let's just focus on what's going on here and see. But look, I mean, these kinds of names, when you go through this kind of event, these kinds of names work, and you see volume with these kinds of names. So I think it's really important to grasp that. Like, you're going to see more people buy these kinds of names right now. And that's something that we should probably focus on a little bit and understand. You're going to see this. Like here, let me clear all this off. All right. And let's just get rid of all these indicators. So what's going to happen is, as the 10-year kicks up, right? So let's look at that. Okay. So this is already starting this morning. These are notes from the newsletter. But look, you're already kicking up this morning. You're already starting. Okay. So we're going to start the flight to safety again. And that whole trade's going on, right? You can see that whole trade. You can see that even here. People don't care anymore. Just give me I'll buy the cigarette company. Give me my yield and let me know my money's safe. And that's what you're seeing here. Show me my money safe. So this trade, Jen, probably continues. I would just tell you to focus on that. You do have some resistance points. Even if you use the tip of this, let's just use the tip of this and be as aggressive as possible with it. You're still in this downtrend, and you're going to be to about 55, 56. You're really looking to make 4 or 5 points here and get a dividend. So if you can do something like that, and that's what you're looking for it maybe to get up to here, maybe, and you make 6 points and get a dividend, then it's worth giving it a shot. Other than that, if you're looking for something more, I don't think you're going to see it. And I think you could just bounce around in here for a period of time. So, but that can work. That trade can work for sure. Hey, Nashville, good morning. So, good morning, Dennis. Good morning, Nashville. All right, let's just rock and roll here. Cliff, look, so we're all aware, well, maybe we're not. Cliff has earnings this week, right? So you have earnings coming up. I think it's Friday. So we have earnings on Friday. I really like this space, and I'm very surprised. Let's get rid of this 5 for a minute and throw the 21 in. I'm very surprised that you're not seeing more action in these names. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but again, maybe we're going to focus on the fertilizer and we're going to focus on the energy names. But I would just make sure that you continually close above this 21 day. Now, it's very possible that you break this 21 day and come down to here before earnings. That is a possibility. So now what you would do is just try to get a better sense of where you're at and use like a 5-8 cross, right? And you can kind of see where you crossed right up here, and you've never really come back from that. Now the 5 is trying to cross to the upside, but right now you're just in a holding pattern. And if you really want to focus on it, look at this. I mean, it's pretty clear that this bar is where the fight is going on, right? So you can kind of see that level, and you can even see that opening price where they were at. That's even being strewn as a level, right? So I would watch it. Since you've broken and had this bar, you've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you've done about 14 days of consolidation. This is when you'll break out of that range. But if you break below this, it's probably going to come in a little bit harder and probably come down to that level. So just keep that in mind. In short term, it's telling you that we might be going sideways, and you might go sideways, and you might break the 21 day going into earnings. That's a possibility. Now, you also have this coming out, Kratik. So we have this coming out this week with earnings, right? And this comes out before. I think this comes out on the 21st. So this comes out Thursday. So you're going to get an idea of how Cliffs is going to be reacted to on Thursday when you see how this comes out. And this looks just as good, if not better. I mean, you have the 5-8 cross here that's telling you that this is going higher. So I like the whole space. This is turning up. This is holding the 21. So your line in the sand really has got to be that 21-day moving average. That's what I would focus on. Nashville's question, has TLT bottomed? So let's just get to this. Has TLT bottomed? I see a lot of people talking about the bond yield, and I see a lot of people talking about this bond, and also discussing the fact that there's more call volume now than ever in history on this, right? Well, that's because most people are shorted. So they're just using the calls as a way to hedge their risk, right? And maintain some gains. What do I think? I think this is just very clearly, look what's happened since December, right? You broke out like we were going to go higher, and then that was it. You just fell off a cliff. Now, how bad can this get? I don't know, but it can get worse. I'm below this. I'm below the 30. So a bounce is due. You're due for a bounce. Like if you go back here, let's get rid of these lines for a second. Nashville, let's just look at this. So let's go back historically and find times where you were below this level, right? Like here, okay? So here you are below that level, and then you work, because you're going to work this off, right? And what do I mean by work this off? Eventually, you're going to have a day or two where you rally up. And that's what you did. You had a day where you rallied up, and then you undercut it again, right? So I think you could bounce. Sure, you could absolutely bounce, but I don't think you're getting above like 125, 126. I mean, I don't think you're going to see anything more than that. I don't think you're going to see any massive kind of bounce here. What's going to rally the bond market? I mean, they're going to raise rates. I was listening to one guy yesterday talk about it where he said, you could have 4 times in a row where they just raise 50 basis points. So it's definitely something to think about. I would not be buying it for a bounce. I think there's much better places to put your money. If you're looking to see if it should bounce, just use this as your guideline. Look, I thought that this could bounce. I actually thought that we could rally the bonds and alleviate some of the pressure that was going on and move higher when we had this move right here and we undercut. And Thursday was like, no, we're not going that way. We're going higher. So with this kind of reversal and that kind of selling pressure in the 10-year, I don't know why this is going to rally. Technically, it could, but I don't really see it in Nashville. I just don't. So it's not something I'd be playing with. Hey, Kay, good morning. So if I sold a call on a fertilizer stock out to June, would you buy back for a pretty significant loss? 450%. I don't know what this is. I got this little thing popping up here. Let me just say, we have pre-built skin that's already on the account called Simple Cap Up. Okay, I don't know why he's telling me this. Let me get back to this. Sorry about that. All right. So my hedge totally backfired. Yeah, they usually do because people think of them at the time of what they can gain instead of what they could lose. My hedge totally backfired. Stock is at 50. So what stock? Which stock are you looking at? MOS? So, but to answer your question, when I buy, if I had a call out to June, when I buy it back at a significant loss, my hedge backfired. Stock is 58, sold call at 50. Oh, well, that's not going to work. That's not really a hedge. That's just you trying not to take a loss, Andy. So, yeah, I mean, would I be buying that back? No. I mean, I'd probably leave the hedge on at this point. So I mean, you're going to unwind something and then it's going to come down. You're going to wonder what you did. What I would suggest is if you want to be in this stock, okay, is that you just put yourself in a position where you just buy more of it. But just be aware that you have this upper channel right here and you could hit this and bounce off. See, there's an ebb and a flow to this, right? Like you're just not going to keep going up. You're going to come back down and then you're going to go higher again. Like that's what's going to happen here. It's what people have to kind of realize. Like this is going to come up. This possibly is going to come up to this, come back down, go back up, right? So the problem is that something like this, you cover up here on your hedge, then it drops back down and then you wonder what you did, right? And then you lose even more money. So you made a bet, you leave the bet on, and then what you do is if you want to be in the name, you wait for it to set up again and then get in that name. But you don't just get out and move on. You have to stay with that trade. You have to stay with it. You made the bet's on, leave the bet alone. I mean, that's the best way that I can say it. I would not be moving that around. So I mean, it just wish there was a better way to say it, but that's what you do. Green week. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the week. No real big news. What's going on, Damien? I was late as well. You know, I just think that you really have to focus on the key things that I was trying to point out this morning was just the fertilizer names. I think it's really important to understand those and the focus on those names. You know, that's the space that's going to be the hottest right now. Fertilizers, energy, particularly coal, seems to be the focal point, and I don't see any reason why that's going to go away. I think that'll continue to be the focal point, and it probably should be. You know, this is not going to go away until we see, until you have a position where, how can I put this? This is not going to go away until you're in a position where we have some semblance of peace, something where we have some kind of peace. And we just have not really seen that yet, right? So I don't know that I would be a big believer that this is just going to wrap up. So, I mean, that's kind of where my head is. Like, I think you should still be looking at steel names, still be buying these. These are some names we bought on these dips, right? NTR we bought and then got stopped out of and then got back in and we're up in. I do not see a sense in changing my thesis on corn, on wheat. I just don't see that thesis changing at all. You know, these are names that people aren't really looking at that we're doing quite well in just by buying them and leaving them alone. And that's really where I think your focus should be. You know, there was an interesting statement by the Ukrainian government foreign ministry that came out and said, we've had no talks. We've had no productive talks. So I think talks are done. I don't think that either side is really looking at talks. You know, this kind of name, I just want to point this out. If you take out this lower low, you'll probably see some panic selling and you might see that, or you might see it bounce up and around. Just watch it. You know, I think that the time to, you know, if you want to buy puts on this going into earnings, I mean, you're just gambling, right? You don't know if you're going to get this day or you don't know if you're going to get that day. You just never know what you're getting. Sometimes they just open it flat. There's a lot going on this quarter, so I would expect some kind of move, but you just never know. So something to think about. Anyway, let's just keep on going here. See what else we have here that we should be going over. So fib levels for INDO. Hey, Rafi. All right, sure. Let's go through that. Let's go look at fib levels for INDO. So for me, what I was focused on with this name was just, and you saw this the other day where you had this pop. We saw that in IMPP. I actually bought, I don't usually play these names, but I think with what's going on with Libya as well, I think these names can see some kind of action, quite frankly. They're thin names. They're going to bounce around. I would tell you that I'd be more focused on these pinches. Here, let me show you. I'll draw fib levels for you, but I'd be more focused on these pinches. So these pinches that they tend to hold. So you want to flip this one and get over that. So you really want to get over $28 and stay over $28. But let's get rid of this. Let's just do it this way and get rid of that and this. And now let's just draw fib levels. It's just so much easier. So obviously you're going to use the top of this, but we're going to use get rid of pre and post. And then we're just going to go and take a look at this level right here. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to use when this started. So this started back here, right? You don't really want to use this. I mean, it's only going to be a little difference, right? There's only a very little difference between these areas, but I like using when it first happened. Okay. And what this is going to do is it's just going to point out where you're at. Use these as areas, not exact numbers. That's how you use fib levels. But you can see how that 36 was respected. That 24 has been respected right in there. So that's really what you're looking at. As long as you're above this, it's telling you that you have the possibility of getting to this 36 level. And that's how you should focus on it. That's how I would focus on it. So I hope that's helpful. But that's what I would use as a number. So GFL. Let's take a look. So I'm not really sure what this is as far as the voting. Look, I mean, here's your level, right? I mean, you can see that. I mean, that's clear as day. Like that doesn't get any clearer, right? So we know that that's our level. And then we know that right here is where we have to flip. So when you break a channel, you have to flip this level, right? So you've broken this channel. You think things are rosy. You have to get above that wick because you have to make a higher high. And you haven't really made a higher high since you broke this, right? You tried once, failed, came back down, forms a little dragonfly, right? Gives us a little morning star, pops over. So you have to get over this level before you think of doing anything there. Okay, that's how I would focus on it. We could see if there's any resistance points up there. So you're going to have some resistance there. This is curling, which is good. 21 is, I mean, that's good that you held that particular level where those crossed. On the 5 and the 8, you'll be up in, right? So from that perspective, I think it looks good. Go. You don't really have any volume. No one's really paying attention to it. So that's probably not going to be a plus for it. But I would focus on that. I'd focus on seeing if you can get to that level and go from there. But until I got over that, I wouldn't touch it. Yeah, I would just leave it, Kay. I mean, then just leave it. If you have someone covered, just leave it. Like, because you're going to play with it and then you're going to just mess it up. Like, so would I. I mean, same thing. Like, I would just mess it up too. So just be aware of that. Like, you just don't want to be doing that. Good morning, BPT. Yep. So what would I be using as levels here? I mean, look, you don't want to break that low. I mean, you don't want to break 1481. If you're a short-term player with it, you don't want to break 1481. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Other than that, you just leave it alone. You should be, if you're in it, just leave it alone. There's nothing to do there. Literally nothing to do. So I wouldn't do anything with it. Knee, we can look at, like these, and look, these utility names, they rallied and that's it. That's what you're going to get. I don't know that you're getting more out of that. I think you're going to see money rotate out of utilities and into some other names personally, but this is what's happened with it, and this is what you're seeing. So I wouldn't be chasing those kinds of names now. I think that they've had their move, and they look a little tired, right? They look a little tired here, don't they? So I wouldn't be chasing those kinds of names. That's for sure. Any thoughts on Zeus? Sure. So, I mean, I like this, but you're hitting that level, right? I mean, look, all these stocks are doing the same thing. They're pulling back to the 21 day and they're finding buyers. I mean, that's what they're doing, right? I mean, that's what's been happening. This was when we tried before using 30 as another BPA. So we tried this on the breakout, then it came back down, got to this level, set up again, and then went, right? So you're seeing that a lot. You're seeing them get to the 21 day, find support, and then push. And that's really what you want to look for. And that's exactly what you got right here. And it sets you up very nicely for that. So yeah, I get it. I'd be watching the top of this. And you have two earnings this week that could move Zeus, right? So you have CLF, which is Friday, which could move that. Not really sure why they give you that symbol. And, so you have CLF, which is Friday, and you have Nucor, which is Thursday. Both of those can move Zeus. So just watch that. I'm near the top end of this range. That's not something I'd be too crazy about. Doesn't mean it doesn't break out, but I'd want to see the breakout before I'd add to it now. DBC. So Invesco Commodity Index Tracking Fund. Yeah, I mean, stuff like this is just going to keep going. Like, this is not going to stop. I don't see any reason why this is not getting back to here in time. I mean, it's not going to happen in a day, but I see no reason why you're not getting up to these levels. Look, this is what happens before a recession, right? Like, I don't care if you call it GDP contraction or what you want to refer to it as, but see, this is what, this is the financial crash, right? But look at what happened before the financial crash, right? Like, this doesn't have moves like this, okay? And look at this move, right? You had a 72% move from that base. Well, if this is your base, what's your move, right? 83% already. So you can have moves like this. These can take out these highs. That can happen. I mean, you're not even really back to the median yet, are you? Right? Which is like right here. I mean, if I went and took a look at this and wanted to know just where the median was, right, and where all the players are, just hit volume by price, right? And that's going to kind of tell me that, the average price on this is right around that $21. So that's kind of interesting. But getting through this, you've got nothing but blue skies above. So that could really go. It's definitely something I would be focused on. And that whole space, I think, can continue to go. What's going on, Jacob? Good morning, Rose. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, man. TSM short. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are looking at shorting that. Why? Because of what's going on. China's going to invade. I don't think China is going to invade. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not a geopolitical person. Like, I have no way of knowing that. I would just think that if they just watched what happened to Russia and how they were ostracized for their actions, and China realizes that would happen to them, and that's going to cause instability. And I don't think they want that. That's my opinion. Now, this reversal is not great. You could see people saying, hey, we're not going to need as many chips. Is that where we are right now? We're not expected to need as many chips. So I have a hard time telling you to short this here. I'm not saying that it doesn't go lower. I'm not saying that it can't get back to like this 82 level, but you're shorting these and you need these. Like, it's the same thing as this. Like, we're short. People are shorting this. I think the shorts already happened. So I think the shorts already happened. Could Could you make money with it? Yeah. I mean, you could. Look, let's go through the trade. I mean, you basically have to use the 21 day as your stop, right? So right now, your stop literally needs to be the high of this bar. So you have to put a stop of 104, 105. I mean, if you want to do it, give it a shot. Could it work? Yeah, it absolutely could work. Look, semiconductors look awful. Okay. I mean, I actually thought that we were going to bounce here, but we didn't, right? Like I had this pegged when we broke that day, like this was going to be super nasty. Thursday gave us a head fake. Wednesday gave me a head fake, right? Because we closed above this 5, right? So I'm like, oh, we could bounce like we did here at the same level. Okay. Let's see how you see when you get above that 5, what happens, right? You broke below it and then you flip above it and then you get these moves, right? And what happened? That's not what happened. We got a reversal pattern right here. We have a bearish engulfing. So that can continue to get worse. Yeah, that can get worse. Absolutely. Hey, you're at Ford. So, yeah, I mean, you can see how you're trading in here. Look, it's a long-term play, and you're looking out long-term on this. This is not something that I would be playing with or dealing with at all. See that? Just sit with. If you're in it, you stay with it. If you're not in it, there's no need to buy it here. I have a small position in this in one of the longer term accounts, but I'm not in a big hurry to do anything with this right here. Like literally nothing. So, yep, if you could like the video, I would appreciate it. It helps me with the algorithm. What's going on, John? PSLV, PPLT. I've never done very well trading these, John. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Like, buying these kinds of things, they tend to bid up. Does it make sense that they would work in this kind of market? Yeah, it does make sense that they could work in this kind of market. Why? Because, people are hoarding these kinds of things. I would just be very, very cautious. It's not something I'd be rushing into here. It's not something I'd be going crazy trying to rush into here. I'm not saying that they can't work. I'm just saying that, usually where are you going to get to? 10, 930, 950. I mean, is this going to go back to that 10 range? Maybe. I mean, maybe there's $1 here. Maybe, but they're not things that I, tend to focus on. Look, here's what you have to think about. Okay. This one people are going to buy. Why? Because they use it to back currency. So you're buying something that people are using to back a currency. Okay. That's why I would focus on gold more than anything. I have way too many lines on here. So that's what I would focus on more than something like PSLV or PPLT. I'm not saying they can't go higher. I just think that, you have to kind of look at it from that perspective. When these things start running, right, they really start running like this, like everybody wanted to buy lithium and then we pulled all the way back, right? So these things go in cycles and you have to understand that. That's really what you're going through here. Could they work? Yeah, John, they could, but I don't know how much you make off of that. I covered AMD. Apple, I really haven't gotten into. I mean, look, this rumor out there that they're going to raise the dividend and buy stock, and so far they haven't done either. So, I mean, are they just saying this so people buy the company, which they've done very well? But this reversal on Friday or Thursday, I keep saying Friday, was probably one of the worst reversals that you've had since back here. So, I mean, I can't remember a last time where this acted this poorly on one day. Like this was just an awful trade. Buying that breakout. I mean, you can see right here, look, you got above here, 171.04, then you're at 171.21. So it make it look like it's going to go, it gives you the higher high, breaking 21, and they just slam it back down and take out the lows of this bar, and this bar. Like that's not where you want to be. Could it bounce? Sure, but you have to work this whole bar off now. Right. So that's going to take a couple of days at a minimum. That's not going to just reverse. So, unless there's a news driven event, but it's not something I'd be playing with. I'd watch that, Jacob. DVN, CTVA. DVN, I like. This is my level on it. That's what I've been watching. And I want to see volume. It's just falling off a cliff, right? That's like the exact opposite of what you see happening here, right? How volume's picking up on these names, right? So volume's picking up on these names, right? So, for whatever reason, volume's increasing here, okay? So that's what I would focus on. I'd focus on where volume's increasing, not where it's decreasing. So something to keep in mind. I would just look where they're playing. What are they buying, right? CTVA, was that it? CTVA. A little more coffee here. I just don't like the wicks, and I don't like your volumes just gone away, right? And now I have a negative divergence too, like here on the RSI. Again, I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's just not my kind of trade, right? So you can see that. It's not really. We're doing it for me, Terry. Oh, I think it's baked in. I think the question is how much more are they going to do? Like when you have inflation this high and you're at unemployment of 4%, you're going into recession. Like people are saying, don't look at the yield curve. Don't look at this. Look, anytime that inflation is over 4% and you've had unemployment under 4%, you've gone into a recession. Every time in recorded U.S. history. Okay, it's never not happened. So I don't care if we're going to call it a recession. I don't care if we're going to call it GDP contraction. They need to do something to deflate assets. And so he's going to do 50 basis points. If he doesn't do 50 basis points, it's going to be a real problem. What's not on the table is 75 basis points, right? That's what no one's talking about. Okay. But I think they're going to do 50 and then they maybe do 50 again and then 50 again and just hammer it out. But, this whole thing, they're going to be cautious. I think caution's out the wind. I really believe that at this point. I'm more concerned about them paring down the balance sheet. And I think that's why you're seeing people look at like TLT and can't believe where it is and going, should we buy it? You want to buy something that the government's selling? The government has more of this, right? I mean, do you really think they're going to announce when they're selling treasuries in the open market? I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're doing it already with the move in the market, right? So they're probably not going to telegraph exactly when they're going to do this, right? But they probably have already started. That's my opinion of it. You think we just went up 63% in a month with no one selling the 10-year? That's like a big institution or a commercial. So I don't know. I don't think it's all factored in, buddy. Oh, you're welcome, brother. Anytime. ARIS. All right, let's try to get through these. I'm going to have to jump here. ARIS. Yeah, there's your level. Watch that level. Look at that little volume spike. I know water's the new oil, right? I mean, oil's the new oil to me, but I get it, and that can work. Just watch the earnings, but that can absolutely work with that little peak. No doubt about it. AB, yeah, we went through Tesla. So AIR and NVIDIA. I don't like all those wicks up here. If you'd have to break this for me to be interested, the only thing I would say is this. You always want to look at these bars, these breakout bars, and focus on them, right? This is where people said, I have to be in, right? So you always want to focus on these bars and how you respond to them. See how you held here, see how you broke below it. And that's why I always say I like to wait for the close. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Depends on where you're at position-wise. But see how you bounced? I mean, that's all you need to know. So that's all you need to know is don't touch that until you get over that level if you want to play it. Yep, please like the video. Likes are free. It does help with the algorithm. MAR. Yeah, I don't really understand why travel's booming. I feel like I'm missing something. maybe people are going to travel more in the US. I don't know, but that's a breakout. So, I mean, there's really very little way for me to say that that's not a breakout. That's an absolute breakout above. I'd like to see it get above this, and maybe it goes this time. I mean, that's what I will be waiting for, something like this. But I could say anything I want. That's a breakout. I mean, and you're seeing that all over, aren't you? Right. So I'm not really sure why we're seeing that whole space get interest, like they're going to go again. I'm not really sure why the interest, but something like this, yeah. I think we saw that with Airbnb too. Like people saw that pop up. It's not for me, but yeah, I mean that's undeniable. And getting above and closing above that is undeniable. So I get it. I understand why you're looking at that, Dalu. Netflix short. I have those options, SF, as you know. I mean, you're betting, you're making a bet, right? So just understand what you're doing. But those puts that we have from the trading room, I mean, I don't see a reason to do anything with them. Look at that reversal. So I wouldn't be going near that. There's something going on we don't understand. When you start breaking the 21 day and you're not holding that and the 5's pointing down, you don't really want to play with that. You're welcome, Ro. Hey, Ro. Let's take a look at this and go RYI. I think this was on my list for some reason. I think I was looking at this earlier. Yeah, I like that. This was on a short list of mine. It almost made the top 10. I like it. I like that move a lot. I think that can continue. So I think it's pretty clear. Yeah. I mean, that can absolutely continue to go. There's no question about it. They're the kinds of names that are going to move right now. LLNW. If you break that wick right here, yeah. I mean, if you can get over 550 and get some volume, you can play with it, go. Other than that, I wouldn't go near it. Other than that, I wouldn't go near it. ABST, what's going on? ABST. Absolute Software. I mean, there's not really much going on there, is there? I mean, you'd have to find an actual fundamental reason why you'd want to be in this. I'm just going sideways. I mean, it's not something I'd be chasing. And look at how the volume's just completely gone away. So people aren't focused on that. All right, I got to jump. I got to hop in the room. Everybody, trade to win today.